Are you all ready to fly to St. Helena? If you're not familiar with what St. Helena is, here you go.
St. Helena is a remote British overseas territory in the South Atlantic Ocean, best known as the place where Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled and died. It's in a group with the island Ascension, where you have to have special permission to go, and Tristan da Cunha, which is still only accessible by boat. This is one of the most remote places in the world. St. Helena is a quiet, rugged island with dramatic landscapes and a small, close-knit community of around 4,000 people. The airport changed a lot for the island when it was built in 2015, with flights starting a couple of years later. Before that, their only link to the outside world was also by ship. It's also famous for its challenging winds and cliff edge location, and that's one of the reasons why we're on board to fly there today.
So the nice thing right now is that Airlink is doing this flight once a week out of Johannesburg via Walvis Bay to St. Helena and then back the next day direct into Johannesburg. And that's because the plane actually continues out to Ascension after it reaches St. Helena, comes back to pick people up the next day. And that means that I get to spend a night, whereas some times of the year, I would have had to just turn around directly or spend a week. And I rarely would have a week available to stay on St. Helena, as interesting as that might be. What's the weather saying?
So expecting moderate to severe wind shear. The wind at the midpoint, which is the one that affects us generally the most, 15 gusting 28, but it funnels there through a gap, so it usually doubles. So there where it's saying 28, it's going to be probably closer to 50 in this one little narrow corridor.
Wow.
It's going to bump a bit today. Cloud base is fine at least, so we don't have to stress about that. Medium to low, 30% risk of severe turbulence on the approach to 19 from 350 feet to surface. Wind shear warning valid from 8 until 1800. Severe wind shear on the 19 forecast.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be fun. It's very strange there because you can do one approach and get severe wind shear, fly the circuit, come back around, and there's nothing. It's very dependent on the direction of the wind. If the wind changes by 5 or 10 degrees, the wind shear can change. So we just take enough fuel to do multiple attempts.
But I guess when you leave Walvis, at a certain point you're committed to land in St. Helena. You couldn't make it back.
Can't make it back, but we can usually make Ascension.
Oh, so that's your alternate Ascension?
Yeah, so usually we try to take full tanks out of Walvis Bay. That gives us about usually 3.5 hours of fuel on arrival. Then we can try several approaches and we still have our reserve fuel to go to Ascension. Today we're very heavy, so we're basically only going to arrive there with our 2 hours island hold, which is enough to go to Ascension, but not enough to try multiple approaches and still go to Ascension. So we'll probably make a decision before we start the descent. If we start the descent, we'll probably commit to St. Helena.
So you'd want to make sure that it's within limits that
Yes.
you're pretty sure you can get down.
Exactly.
Interesting. And you're heavy because of what you're carrying, cargo.
Yeah, a lot of cargo, a lot of passengers, and just the headwinds. Headwinds affecting us as well.
So in the calculation there, it was showing that the landing weight would be very close to maximum.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we're limited on fuel today, is because of the max landing weight. So the problem is if we don't burn our contingency fuel, then we end up on the landing weight limit. So we normally try to keep about a 200 kilogram buffer. So Ascension is about an hour 40, but if we make the decision before we start the descent, then we'll probably have 40 minutes of fuel when we arrive at Ascension. Usually we can start the descent, do a few approaches, and then still arrive at Ascension with our reserve fuel. Today we're planning basically on island hold fuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say if you decide you're committing to St. Helena, you go down, doesn't work, go around, that's immediately to Ascension.
We probably have enough to do that. Possibly not. Possibly once we start the descent, we commit to St. Helena.
trying to get it down there.
Yeah.
Would you always be two captains?
We've always done that since the start because of the decision making. The theory was that we didn't want to make it that you've got one captain who's got to make the call. With the fuel being so restrictive and making that decision whether to continue or whether to divert to Ascension, we decided that two captains, that it can be more of a joint decision. Whereas if you've got a first officer, although they'll have input, you're still relying on one person's decision. That's why we've done it. I think the route could safely be flown with one captain and a first officer. Now, especially now that we're very familiar with the route, but we've decided just for that additional safety to keep it like that. Anemometers at the airfield, then something changed. So we used to regularly have winds up to 60 knots at the midpoint, and with the new anemometer now, the winds have basically halved. They say there was something wrong with one of the conversion factors from meters per second into knots. But what we found is that the aircraft is still indicating those speeds up to 50. We used to have 55 knots as our cutoff. We're now using 28 knots. But in reality, what we're finding is when it's 28 on the anemometer, we're still getting up to those 50 knots. So we're not quite sure what's happened, whether it's in a different position or... But the island is curved and the wind funnels up just across the center of the runway. And that seems to still be funneling up there to those high wind speeds. Yeah, today we're on max for dispatch.
If it had been 29, you wouldn't go?
Wouldn't go.
And I guess you get an updated report before leaving Walvis.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get one before we leave Walvis, we'll get one before we enter ETOPS, and then again at our decision point.
How much of the time would you say are you finding that you get to Walvis and you say, oh,
It does happen, less than 10% of the time, I'd say. We tend to have periods of the year where it happens a lot. June, July, it's quite common. Weather will look okay and we'll dispatch and then it'll deteriorate. This time of the year, the weather's supposed to be okay.
And what's the most attempts you've had to land in a tricky situation there?
Personally, I've always got in on the second attempt, but we have had it, I think the most we had was on the fifth attempt I only got in.
In that situation, I would imagine it's starting to feel very stressful, like you would try so many times.
You do, but those strong winds are always intermittent, so in reality you will get a gap. The thing is, it's a positive wind shear that you get. So what happens is you get a little bit of negative wind shear higher up, which becomes positive wind shear. And the problem is you can't keep the speed low enough. You can't maintain your approach speed. So fortunately, it's not a dangerous situation actually. You've got an increasing wind speed that just causes you to float, and then you do the go around. Obviously, the thing that's concerning is just the fuel, not a fuel on board with nowhere to go.
Right. Okay. So eventually you'll get a lucky break, you'll get in.
Yeah. So we've learned to anticipate the pattern now. We watch for the negative wind shear. When you start to get the negative, they call it flow reversal there. We add thrust, but we sort of know how long it lasts, so we start to take the thrust off in anticipation of the positive, and that usually helps.
Wow.
This is the midwind. Usually it's only the midwind that's gusting up to 28. Today's a bit unusual where even the threshold of runway 19 is also gusting up to 28. It varies a lot today, 130 to 19. So you got it straight on the runway to almost a 90-degree crosswind.
Do you find that the E-Jet is a good aircraft, a nice aircraft to fly into a place like that?
Yeah, they tried with the Boeing, the 737, and they really struggled. I think this aircraft does make it a lot easier. Seems to handle the crosswind quite well, and also we use flap full, which allows us to keep the engine spooled up a bit more. So if we do get that wind shear, the engines are a little bit more responsive.
Good afternoon. Oh, actually, good morning. I'm Googs, the cabin crew. I'm the in-charge cabin crew for this flight. Today we're going to Ascension. We're flying from here to Walvis Bay, from Walvis Bay to St. Helena, from St. Helena to Ascension. I know it sounds very long, but it's okay. We'll do it. I hope you guys will enjoy whatever this gentleman is making. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do subscribe. Right?
And you can plug your TikTok as well. If you like.
Oh yes, also you can follow me on TikTok. I'm Googs, the flight attendant. So it's Googs_flight attendant. Like my videos, comment and share.
Is it a route that you like to do? Do you like to do this long day out to?
I prefer a long day.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't like 4 sectors. I would rather do like one long sector, finish it and do another, like 2 long sectors, it will be fine. So I'd rather do 2 takeoffs, and 2 landings. 2 safety demonstrations.
Because every time you have to do the whole...
Exactly, because if you have 4 sectors, then you need to do all 4. I feel like that's more, for me, that's more frustrating or tiring. But this one, and I like this one the most, because you just do 1 sector, and then you get there, you rest. And you know how they're like 2 hours behind? So it even plays with your head, because you're like, okay, my body says I'm asleep now. And then you eventually go to sleep early. But now, when it's time to wake up, it's still not time to wake up on the other side. So you get enough rest for this sector. So this is a very nice duty for one to do. I definitely know we're going to treat you nice and special, as we should, as we do. Feel free to do what you can or do what you need to. We will be out of your way. Yeah.
It's rather me that should be out of your way. You have the job to do. I'm just hanging out here.
The green circles, the first one is the 1 hour circle, so that's where we enter ETOPS. The second one is the 2 hour circle, so we need to stay within the 2 hour. That last one is the 1 hour circle from St. Helena, that's where we exit ETOPS again. So our ETOPS area of operation is to stay within that area basically. Yeah, we can't go beyond there, then we're outside of our ETOPS area of operation. So because we have engineers on this flight, they normally do the walk around for us. Usually we do it at most of the stations.
I see.
Because it's ETOPS, we have engineers to sign the aircraft out now for the ETOPS flight.
Okay.
Checkpoints. This rod, if you do a hard landing, this rod tends to bend. So one way to know if it's suffered a hard landing. Doesn't look like we hit any birds. Good.
Perfect. Those little moments are really good. He's going to be famous now.
Like the best engineers, you know what I'm saying? The best of the best. The best of the best cabin crew, the best of the best pilots. Everything is the best of the best.
Absolutely.
You're also the best of the best passenger.
Thank you. I try to be the best passenger of all time.
Now at Walvis Bay doing our refueling stop, we're loading up with as much fuel as we can for the way out, but we're not going to be full because we've got a lot of cargo, a lot of passengers. Aircraft needs to be below a certain weight for the landing into St. Helena, and so we're refueling as much as possible.
Yes. Fuel is perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. You don't want any more. Good enough. It's not enough.
Tight space here to try to talk to the camera. 44 tons is the max structural landing weight for the E190, and we're currently estimating landing weight just above that.
Yeah.
We're gonna burn it off in the air, right?
You got to burn it off.
The thing is we keep the APU running, which the FMS doesn't take into account.
Okay, right.
For ETOPS we keep it running, so we'll burn that extra.
So you have to account a little bit mentally for the APU. Why do you keep the APU in that operation?
Just to have it as a backup generator, because it's not always guaranteed that APU will start once it's been cold soaked and up at altitude. So just keep it running the whole time, then we know we've got that generator as a backup.
Okay, interesting. So you take multiple engineers on these?
Yeah.
It's because if they do any work for ETOPS, they need to have a dual check. So if they have to fix something, or even if they have to fill the oil, they need the second engineer to verify that they've closed it properly.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. Thank you. 7911.
Thank you.
That's on now, thanks. Okay, we're good to go.
So who flies this departure?
Me again.
So you're doing the whole thing?
Yeah, he'll come back tomorrow.
I see, good.
Inca 131 X-ray taxi, enter and backtrack runway 27.
Taxi enter, backtrack and line up right runway 27, link 131 X-ray. Clear on the left and the right.
Left.
Clear on the right. Check thrust. Thrust set. V1, rotate. Positive climb, good. Just logged onto the CPDLC. ETA, so there's still going to be 7 of us, 91 of them. And then
Link 131 X-ray window grade out today, identified now passing flight level 110, continue climb to flight level 360. When ready, report your estimate for your destination, St. Helena.
and this is climb to flight level 360 I think, and we are going to landing in St. Helena 1311, link 131 X-ray.
We did go on and have a look at the live winds on the ground in Walvis. At the moment the live winds are not too bad. It was about 15 knots.
Okay.
So now we're on HF with them and we connected to CPDLC. Now you can settle in, relax.
Recline the seat.
We'll get a weather update just before we enter ETOPS. And then we'll get another one at our equal time point, which is where we'll make the decision to continue or not.
And that weather update, where are you getting it from? From there?
Our operations.
Okay.
So we arrive in there with 4.5 tons of fuel. Our 2-hour holding fuel is just under 3.7 tons. So we have extra 800 kilograms of fuel, which is another half an hour. So we'll get there with 2.5 hours of fuel, which would be enough to do one approach and then still go to Ascension. That's our point of no return, which lies 1,000 miles from here. So basically at our top of descent, we could still turn around and go back to Walvis Bay because it's a tailwind and we've got that extra 2.5 hours of fuel.
Is there a situation in which you would do that though?
If we passed our equal time point and the weather closed in completely for some reason, then we'd go back.
Okay.
On a day like today where we're supposed to go to Ascension, so some of these passengers will be for Ascension. We might consider rather going to Ascension. Under normal circumstances, we would rather go back. Today might be a little bit different with the Ascension.
Would it be tricky if you, in making that decision, you have to kind of take into account that some passengers don't have the right to go to Ascension, right?
In a case like that where it's a diversion, it wouldn't be a problem. They'd accommodate them that side.
Right.
And the thing is, they all do have either a British passport or a visa for St. Helena. And Ascension and St. Helena are part of the same country.
Right, yeah, sure. So I wonder, is anybody that can be in St. Helena can also go to Ascension? If they're a resident of St. Helena, can they go to Ascension? Or?
They have strange rules in Ascension. So even if you're born in Ascension, once you turn 18, you either need to get a job or you have to leave.
Really?
So even if you're born there, you can't stay there unless you're working there.
Wow. So no one is just hanging out on Ascension?
No. So the majority of people on Ascension are actually from St. Helena. They work on Ascension Island, but they're from St. Helena.
I see. Do you pick people up in St. Helena and take them to Ascension, so they have that traffic right?
Usually the majority of our passengers are from St. Helena.
Yeah.
There'll be a few that continue on with us now from Joburg, but most of them would be from St. Helena.
Okay. So it's usually quite empty on the Ascension leg.
Yeah, I think we only have 47 passengers going to Ascension.
Okay. So about half.
Yeah.
And it's still worthwhile to operate that extra leg.
For us it's a charter, so
I see.
It doesn't really matter how many passengers we have. And the thing is, there's no other way for the people to get there.
Yeah.
So it has to be done. There used to be a ship, there isn't anymore.
Yeah. So is that a charter that's arranged and paid for by Ascension government?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So for Ascension, we basically have 600 kilograms of spare fuel.
It's not a huge amount.
No, but it's enough for an approach.
Yeah.
Probably 2 at a push.
So what are you usually doing during this crossing? Are you kind of just monitoring fuel, monitoring weather, that's about it? I guess there's no other traffic in the area.
Very few. Sometimes get Delta that comes past.
Oh yeah.
So SAA flight and a LATAM flight to Brazil as well.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes cross. And then once we cross into Luanda's airspace, they don't normally speak to us.
Yeah.
So that's quite. We contact them normally on CPDLC,
right.
But sometimes they don't even log us on. We're so far outside of their area of concern that they don't. No, so there's another island, Tristan da Cunha.
Yeah.
But they don't have a runway. So this is where we cross. It's just for the last bit. This is Luanda airspace.
Yeah.
From there we could basically chat to St. Helena, so then they normally relay for us anyway.
Okay.
And then when we go to Ascension, we'll cross into Brazilian airspace. We'll chat to Atlantico.
Wow. So is that roughly halfway across to Brazil?
Close. And zoom out and see. So it's quite close to halfway. When we did the first E2 ferry, we came down right down here, low down the bottom. It's pretty tight, but on the last one we went all the way to Joburg, and we still landed with.
When I climbed into the aeroplane, you had about 2.4 tons left.
Yeah, we had 2.4 tons, and we only needed 1.8 to divert to our alternate.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. This aircraft, it's about 6 hours is the limit. On the E2 it's 8.5.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot more. It's almost the same size fuel tanks.
So it's just down to the more efficient engines.
Only half a ton more fuel. And of course we were very light on the ferries as well. So.
Yeah, right. What are you burning per hour right now?
So we're still climbing, but we're burning 290 aside kilograms per hour.
Okay. And at cruise it should be roughly?
It should come down to initially probably about a ton, just over, maybe 1,050.
I guess we can watch it now.
And then towards the end of the flight it should come down to about 900. The E2 we were cruising at 540 aside.
That's a big difference.
The E2 when we climbed from 39 to 41 in the climb, it was burning 800 aside only.
Wow.
The APU burns quite a lot of fuel low down. Burns 120 kilograms an hour.
Yeah.
But up here in the cruise, where the air's thin and it's not under load, it's only burning 34. So it's not a big penalty to run it.
So our fuel when we get there at 1,500 foot, that's 2 hours and 16 minutes at 25,000 seems to be the most efficient. 2 hours 34.
The weather in St. Helena generally comes through in gaps of like 30 to 40 minutes. So if it closes up completely with fog, usually somewhere in like a 30 or 40 minute window you'll get an opening.
Very long 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like 3 hours, but when you're sitting holding. It's a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen the table plot on Table Mountain. There's no cloud anywhere, but you just get that cloud forming just over the the top of Table Mountain.
Yeah.
The same thing happens at St. Helena over the runway.
Right.
It'll be completely clear everywhere, but the air comes up over the runway and then forms fog. You can sit there in blue sky in the hole, but you can't see the runway.
Wow.
Somebody in their wisdom decided that's a good place to put a runway.
Yeah.
Yeah, did they not have other options, or what was the story?
There was, but apparently it was a spider, some protected species that lives in the best area where they could have put the runway.
Oh wow.
So they didn't put it there. Then where it is now, they wanted to turn it 90 degrees, but you would have approached over the town. So they weren't happy with the noise.
Ah.
So that's why it got turned.
They couldn't handle 1 or 2 aircraft a day? Come on.
It's not even, it's one a week.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know,
So,
even if it got super busy, right, it wouldn't be...
Yeah, so now we're struggling with the crosswind. Even when we depart now for Ascension, we have to first go out to 4,000 feet before we turn. They don't want us going overhead the island.
You think it might be a nice change for them. Not that much going on otherwise.
But yet the whole town comes to the airport to watch you there.
Yeah.
So at the moment it's variable 11 knots, which is not bad at all. However, there's still 30% probability of gusts up to 28.
I see.
We're hoping in future that we'll be able to use the E2 maybe in St. Helena. At this stage it's not on the cards, but we'll need more experience on the machine first. From what we've seen, it's very slippery, that aircraft doesn't want to slow down. It's one of the things that makes this 190 very suitable for St. Helena. With the flat pool, if you do get a sudden increase in wind speed, it's quite easy to bring everything back stable again. Whereas the E2, we might struggle to keep that speed under control, but it would make it easier by not having to stop in Walvis Bay. And also the bigger cargo holds would help a lot. As you saw today, we had to offload a whole lot of cargo. I think we were supposed to have 1.1 tons and we only took 600 kilograms. So we're now an hour away from the closest airport. We're getting there, about to cross the line.
Now we're leaving the ETOPS.
Now we can shut the APU down, we don't need it anymore. Now that we're within an hour and we're outside of ETOPS, there's no requirement anymore. There's only an ETOPS requirement.
I was wondering when they were going to pop up. ATC come terminated.
Terminated us early.
Yeah.
Now we'll attempt to log on to Luanda on CPDLC, but they often don't accept.
FNAN, eh?
FNAN, yeah. So it's a two-step process. The first one is the ADS, which is what they've accepted now. So this means they can track us. They still need to accept the CPDLC, which then means we can communicate over the CPDLC.
Okay, and they probably won't bother.
Yeah, so often what they do is they accept and they can see us, but they don't speak to us. Oh, they've accepted. It's like 1 in 10.
Oh, since I did that, shall I send them a message?
Yeah. So we're going to fly the RMP localizer DME approach onto runway 19 via position of Tapa. So we're currently routing direct to position of Tapa. Plan to cross there at about 4,000 feet. Means the approach from the position of Tapa. So you'll notice it is offset by about 10 degrees from the runway center line. That's due just to this high ground that's on the final approach path. So once we get the field visual, we'll probably move across a little bit closer to the high ground, fly visually, just to line up a bit earlier. Otherwise what happens is it's going to be a crosswind from this side. It tends to drift you across, so it's better to try and establish on the final approach as soon as possible. Otherwise, when you try and bring it across, you sometimes drift a little bit past. Then if we do become unstable for any reason, we'll follow the missed approach all the way back to Tapa. Depending on what the reason was, if it was just for unstable, we'll probably commence another one immediately. If it's due to visibility or cloud, we'll hold until it clears up at the Tapa. The cloud looks fine today, so I don't think that'll be an issue. If we do go on, most likely just be due to the wind shear. Either the wind shear or the wind very close to the ground. Usually, if you land a little bit deep, you don't land before the mid-wind, then you suddenly get this 20 or 30 knot increase in wind and the aircraft wants to just float up again. If it looks like we're going to land deep, then we'll rather go around and just try again. So the idea is to try and touch down as soon as possible before you hit that wind. Yeah, it looks okay. The thing with the wind shear there, it's not so much about the strength of the wind, it's more the direction. The direction that it's blowing at today, it is conducive to wind shear, so I do expect that we will get some bumps. But the wind down low, the runway doesn't look too bad for now, so might just be a little bit of, usually you'll see a drop in airspeed and then we'll need to add a bit of thrust, and then they call it flow reversal, so the wind's coming over the island and then actually curling around the back and then moving back towards the runway again. So we'll fly through that. So you have a headwind, then you suddenly have a tailwind, and then you're out of that and you're back into the headwind again. So that's usually what we expect. And that happens usually between 200 and 500 feet is typical where that happens. They do have a LiDAR, so they usually give us a pretty good indication once we're on final approach of where to expect it. Depending on whether we manage to maintain our stable criteria, if we're visual and we maintain stable criteria, we might continue through the wind shear, because we know that it's going to become positive, which is not a dangerous wind shear.
Normally when you get a wind shear warning,
Yeah, especially if you're not expecting it. Under normal circumstances, if you get a warning, it's immediate go around. Because yeah, we're expecting it, we know it's going to happen, we know what it looks like. Provided we can stay in front of it, we'll continue.
Okay, try again. Position at Tapa, that's the one. Thank you, direct to Tapa, and 131 X-ray.
That's correct, direct to position with Tapa.
So, how many positions does he have?
Yeah, this is very cool. 4,000 sets. And yeah, as usual, if you just call out any deviations for me.
Okay, and then for the wind shear go around, I'll leave it no configuration change, huh?
Yeah,
that's all. We're out of the wind shear.
Yeah,
cool.
Which will happen very fast.
Yeah.
Severe wind shear forecast 2,000 feet and below for runway 19.
No, he was just telling us about the wind shear, the flow reversal, and then positive wind shear again, touchdown. Basically what we briefed already.
League 131 X-ray, position to Tapa, commencing the approach.
Link 131 X-ray, QNH 1017, report final runway 19.
1017, final approach runway 19, Link 131 X-ray.
Checklist?
Landing checklist, landing gear.
Down 3 green?
Slap flap.
Cool.
Link 131 X-ray, instant wind, midpoint 160 degrees, 15 knots, threshold runway 19 is 170 degrees, 6 knots, runway 19, clear to land.
Clear to land runway 19, Link 131 X-ray.
So look like the sim.
Cabin crew, your seats please. Still the same. Okay, there comes a flow reversal, 0. And okay, winds from the right.
$500, $200, $50, $40, $30, $20, $10.
Link 131 X-ray at the end, make 180 back track, runway 19 left, Alpha 1 for parking, welcome back to St. Helena.
Well, that was very cool.
Wasn't even bad.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little more action, to be honest, but still, nicely done.
Yeah, it wasn't really any turbulence today.
Yeah.
The flow reversal was quite strong. I had full thrust there at one stage, but,
Saw that.
but it came on very slowly. Sometimes it's very quick. That had a little bit of a shake, so I already started to add the thrust in there.
Yeah.
Thank you, bye. Thank you, bye.
You need like 3 greetings, at least.
Yeah, you gotta mix it up.
Love, like, goodbye.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the trip, and I will See you all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wow. How amazing is this? Santa Helena. I'm here. What a cool flight. Not really bumpy enough coming in. I want my money back, but a little bump. At least we had a little bit of a wind shear fun. Handled beautifully by that great crew. What a nice trip. Now 24 hours in Santa Helena. I'm gonna do a video on my channel about the day here. So go over there, I'll link it below. And appreciate you checking it out. This is a very special place, it's definitely worth doing. Oh, and look, all these people lined up in the terminal.